Welcome back, dear viewers. It's always a joy to have you here in our sacred corner of the digital world, where we gather to reflect on the deeper truths of life, peel away the illusions, and ignite the inner flame of awareness. If this is your first time joining us, welcome to a space where sincerity meets spirituality, and where the ultimate goal is not to impress, but to awaken. Today's video goes straight to the heart of a very real question that many spiritual seekers must ask themselves at some point along the journey. Am I truly practicing, or am I simply performing? This is not a question meant to induce guilt or shame. It's a mirror, one that many of us are hesitant to look into, because the reflection might not match the image we've tried to craft for the world to see. In an age where social validation has become the silent driver of many actions, even spiritual practices have fallen under its influence. The robes, the chants, the rituals, how much of it is rooted in genuine aspiration, and how much is just part of a show? Let's dive deep, because there's freedom on the other side of truth. In many temples and spiritual communities, you will observe people performing ceremonies with great elegance. Their postures are flawless. Their voices echo with solemnity. They chant sutras with perfect pronunciation. But then, you watch them outside the temple, how they speak to their families, how they respond to traffic, how they handle criticism, and you start to wonder, was that still the same person? This discrepancy between external ritual and internal transformation is at the heart of what we need to address today. True practice begins where performance ends. When the incense has burned out, when no one is watching, when the social media cameras are off, what remains? Who are you when you're alone? What thoughts inhabit your mind? What feelings dominate your heart? One elderly master once said, "If you practice to be seen, you are not practicing, you are advertising." This sharp observation strikes at the illusion of spiritual ego, the subtle voice that whispers, "Let them see how pure you are." But real purity is silent. It doesn't seek an audience. It radiates in quiet moments, in gentle words, in kindness offered without fanfare. Let's talk about the phenomenon of curated spirituality. In today's world, especially online, people love to share snapshots of their spiritual life. Photos of altars, morning meditation routines, elaborate rituals. There's nothing inherently wrong with this. It can be inspiring. But the danger lies in mistaking the display for the practice itself. A young woman once confessed that she felt empty despite being a diligent practitioner. She followed every ritual, wore all the right malas, and recited dozens of mantras daily. But when her mother criticized her, she lashed out in anger. When she faced failure, she spiraled into despair. "What am I doing wrong?" she asked. The answer was painful but liberating. Her practice had become a performance. It looked good on the outside, but it never touched the root of her suffering. This is where true practice begins, with honesty. It's not about how many hours you meditate. It's not about how many mantras you recite. It's about whether you are becoming more aware, more compassionate, more resilient. The test is in the spaces between the rituals, how you relate to others, how you deal with discomfort, how you speak to yourself in moments of failure. Imagine two people sitting in meditation. One is checking the time every few minutes, hoping to clock in the full 30 minutes so they can feel accomplished. The other sits quietly, observing their breath, noticing when thoughts arise, gently returning again and again to the present moment. Who is truly practicing? Spirituality is not a costume, it's a commitment. And that commitment begins with intention. Why are you doing what you're doing? To impress, to feel superior, to escape reality, or to become more awake, more humble, more connected? There's a powerful teaching in Zen. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. What does this mean? It means real transformation is found not in the extraordinary, but in the ordinary. It's not about ascending to some mystical state. It's about bringing presence, kindness, and authenticity into each act, no matter how mundane. Another master once said, "Spiritual maturity is measured not by your ecstasy, but by your ability to remain kind when you're tired, when you're disappointed, when you're hurt." This is the real test, not how many candles you light, but whether your light remains lit when life gets dark. Let's explore the concept of inner sincerity. In traditional texts, it's called Samika Sempiekriti, right mindfulness. This is not just awareness of breath, it's awareness of motives, of inner chatter, of the subtle pride that can grow even in a humble prayer. To be sincerely mindful is to ask, am I speaking from love? Am I acting from wisdom? Am I practicing with humility? We must also talk about the trap of spiritual materialism, a term coined by Qigong Trungpa. It refers to the tendency to use spiritual tools, meditation, mantras, teachings not to free ourselves, but to build a more refined ego, the kind that says, I am spiritual, therefore I am better. But ego, even when dressed in white robes, is still ego, and it still divides, it still clings, it still suffers. So how do we break free? By returning again and again to the core of why we started, by choosing presence over performance, by valuing transformation over appearance, by remembering that the goal of practice is not to appear enlightened, but to become free. Freedom means not needing to prove anything, not needing to be seen as good, just being real, just being here, just showing up day after day, breath after breath, with no audience, no script, no applause. Let me share one more story. A monk once spent years in isolation, meditating in the mountains. When he returned to the monastery, his fellow monks expected him to be radiant, full of wisdom, but he didn't speak much. He cleaned the floors, he fetched water, he helped in the kitchen. Some thought he had wasted his time, but one night, during a violent storm, a child fell into a river. Before anyone could react, the quiet monk had already jumped in, rescued the child, and returned without saying a word. It was then that the others understood his practice wasn't in the words, it was in his being. This is what we must remember. True spirituality doesn't make noise, it doesn't seek validation. It reveals itself in how we live, how we love, and how we show up in the hard moments. So ask yourself today, not with judgment, but with curiosity, am I practicing to awaken, or performing to be seen? And then, regardless of the answer, take a breath, smile gently, and begin again. Because the path is not linear. It's not about being perfect, it's about being honest, being willing, being real. Thank you so much for watching this video. If it touched something in you, if it helped you reflect more deeply on your own journey, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us again next time as we continue to walk this path together, not for show, but for truth. Until then, may your practice be pure, your heart be honest, and your steps be steady.